Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says his country won't make any concessions on its territorial claims in the South China Sea. But he expressed willingness to ease tensions with China through dialogue as Beijing flexes its muscles in the disputed waters.
In a firm assertion of the Philippines' territorial rights, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. declared that the country would not yield or waver in its stance on the West Philippine Sea.
I know that our neighbors too are doing their best to make this work. The Philippines cannot yield. The Philippines cannot waver.
During his third State of the Nation address, SONA, on July 22, 2024, Marcos emphasized the importance of maintaining the nation's sovereignty and expressed gratitude for the sacrifices made by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, the Philippine Coast Guard, PCG, and the fishing communities. The West Philippine Sea is not a mere figment of our imagination. It is ours, and it will remain ours as long as the spirit of our beloved Philippines burns bright, he asserted, drawing a standing ovation from the audience.
Ang West Philippine Sea ay hindi katang-isip natin lamang. Ito ay atin. Ito ay mananatiling atin hanggat nag-aalab ang diwa ng ating minamahal na bansang Pilipinas.
The president highlighted the increased strategic efforts to enhance aerial and maritime domain awareness, reaffirming the government's relentless endeavor to increase the country's defensive stance through self-reliance and partnerships with like-minded nations. Laws governing our maritime zones and archipelagic sea lanes will ensure that this intergenerational mandate, this duty, takes deep root in the hearts and minds of all our people, he stated.
Laws on our maritime zones and archipelagic sea lanes make sure that this intergenerational mandate, this duty, will firmly take root in the hearts and minds of all our people.
A significant development followed the president's address, as the Philippines and China announced a provisional deal to manage tensions at the contested Second Thomas Shoal. This deal, reached after a series of diplomatic discussions, aims to prevent further clashes in the disputed South China Sea. Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Teresita Daza announced that the agreement signifies both nations' commitment to de-escalate tensions and manage differences peacefully. In our desire to de-escalate the situation in the South China Sea, to manage differences in a peaceful manner, we emphasize that the agreement was done in good faith and the Philippines remains ready to implement it. Daza stated, China's foreign ministry confirmed the arrangement, reiterating its demand for the Philippines to tow away the grounded warship, Sierra Madre, from the Second Thomas Shoal. However, China expressed willingness to allow humanitarian resupply missions to the personnel stationed on the ship, if informed in advance. Despite this, the Philippines maintained its stance against prior notification to China about resupply missions, asserting the mission's lawfulness and the necessity of preserving national sovereignty. The principles and approaches laid out in the agreement were reached through a series of careful and meticulous consultations between both sides, Daza emphasized. The deal comes after a series of violent confrontations between Filipino and Chinese forces at the shoal, which both nations claim. The Second Thomas Shoal, known as Ayungin Shoal in the Philippines and Renaijiao in China, has been a focal point of these clashes, sparking fears of a broader conflict involving the United States due to its mutual defense treaty with Manila. The most severe confrontation occurred on June 17th, when Chinese forces repeatedly rammed and boarded Philippine Navy boats to prevent supplies from reaching the Sierra Madre. This incident resulted in injuries to Filipino personnel and heightened tensions between the two countries. The United States and its allies, including Japan and Australia, condemned China's aggressive actions and called for upholding the rule of law and freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, a crucial global trade route with rich fishing areas and undersea gas deposits. In response to the tensions, Washington reaffirmed its commitment to defend the Philippines under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan stated, "The U.S. will do what is necessary to ensure its treaty ally can resupply the Sierra Madre on the second Thomas Shoal."
Our preference is to have the maintenance of the status quo there, the capacity of the Philippines to do these resupplies. We will continue to support the Philippines and stand behind them as they take steps to be able to ensure that. And I will be very cautious about speaking about hypotheticals should we have to get to it, because the most important thing right now is to see de-escalation and to see the ability of the Philippines to do resupplies. We believe that is achievable, and we are going to drive to make that happen.
Philippine National Security Advisor Eduardo Año confirmed that the resupply missions would remain a pure Philippine operation, turning down offers of direct U.S. involvement. There is no need at this time for any direct involvement of U.S. forces in ROR resupply mission, Año said. The provisional agreement reached by the Philippines and China seeks to manage their maritime differences while preventing future clashes. Both nations recognize the need to de-escalate the situation and manage their differences through dialogue and consultation. This rare deal with the Philippines could spark hope for similar arrangements between China and other claimant countries in the South China Sea, including Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. However, the successful implementation and longevity of the agreement remain to be seen. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning emphasized that the temporary arrangement for the delivery of humanitarian supplies reflects China's goodwill.
中方基于处理当前仁爱礁局势的3点原则立场，同菲方就运补人道主义生活物资达成临时性安排，体现了中方的善意。我们希望菲方信守承诺，同中方相向而行，共同管控好海上局势。
However, China stood firm on its territorial claims and demanded that the Philippines refrain from fortifying the Sierra Madre with building materials. The Philippines has consistently rejected such conditions, and the final deal does not include them. Philippine officials stated that the agreement was reached after careful negotiations, excluding prior notification and inspection demands from China. The second Thomas Shoal, located about 200 kilometers from the western Philippine island of Palawan and over 1,000 kilometers from China's Hainan Island, has been a site of repeated confrontations. Both countries assert their sovereign rights over the shoal, which is strategically important and resource-rich. The agreement between the Philippines and China marks a significant step towards managing maritime disputes in the South China Sea. It reflects both nations' willingness to engage in dialogue and find peaceful solutions to their differences, despite the complex and contentious nature of their territorial claims. As the Philippines and China implement this provisional arrangement, the international community will closely watch how both nations navigate this delicate situation.
I am very gratified for your remembrances of even my little part that I played in the opening of relations between China and the Philippines.
The success of this deal could serve as a model for resolving other maritime disputes in the region, contributing to regional stability and cooperation. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.